And welcome back to Lantern Creek Farm. Today is the first garden day of 2024. What I'm going to do is gather up some manure. So we've got some in here in the rabbitry that needs scooped up off of the ground. And I'm going to put it in a bucket and take it up. And then we're going to gather some of the old horse manure. Alright, so here's the brown gold here. Over here. And over here. And probably some in there, but I cleaned it out the other day, and so I probably got a lot of it. But anyways, we're going to take those spots. But first, I'm going to rake the hay off the top of it. We don't want hay in the garden because obviously we don't want a bunch of weeds and grass growing. And rake the hay off of it and then put it in the bucket.
Wow, it's good.
No, they're freeze dried or dehydrated.
Oh. So they're dehydrated. How do I peel them?
I don't know, honey. Alright, so I've raked the hay off of the, most of the hay off of the manure here. Now we got a bucket. I'm going to see if this will work. Yeah. We're going to put it down in the bucket. A lot of the poop's coming up. Or falling through, I mean. That's not going to work. Okay. Alright, I got to find a different scoop. Alright, I got this little plastic bowl here, yes. Ugh. I'm picking it up by hand. At least I'm not picking it up with my hands. One thing about being a farmer is poop is an inevitable. Everything poops. I'm under the cages though. We're just gonna hope that they don't poop on me while I'm down here, or worse, urinate on me. That would be fun, right? After we get this cleaned up, we'll talk a bit more about rabbit manure. And why we can just take it up off the ground here and use it in the garden and not have to wait for a composting period. Alright, let's talk about why we use manure, the two different types of manure that I'm aware of, and the two different types of manure that we are using on the garden today. As you've seen, we scraped up the rabbit manure, and we're going to use that. Along with that, we're going to be using the horse manure. So as you've seen, I just scraped the fresh rabbit manure off of the floor in the rabbitry and then I'm going to put it directly on the garden. The horse manure we are using is months old. The last horse we had on the farm was May of 2023, and so we're coming up on spring now. It's February of 2024, so it's been a while since we've had any horses, and so it's had time to break down. So why does horse manure need to break down? Well, here's the reason. Horse manure is high in acidity because it is kind of urine based. So I like to think of it as wet manure, such as cow, horse, chicken manure. They're all wet when they come out, and they are high in urine or high in acidity, and so they need time to break down. The period of time that they can break down, I think as early as 3 to 4 months, but they can break down over a long period of time, and you will have wonderful black, dark soil, and you will see what the soil looks like of the horse manure that I'm going to pull up. Rabbit manure is different. So rabbit and goat manure, which we also have here on the farm, is dry. It's not wet when it comes out. It's a very dry, non-urine based manure. Rabbit and goat manure are very low in acidity, and they're dry when they come out, so they can be put directly on the garden, and it's very unlikely that they're going to burn up your plants. I'm going to be running the manure in areas where we have added onto the garden this year that haven't been touched with any manure and haven't had any additives to the soil. Second, that I wanted to talk about is why we use manure in the garden. And there's two things specifically that manure has, which is nitrogen and phosphorus, which the garden needs. Any garden needs it, but our garden especially, because like I said, it's clay soil. We also have soil that we haven't done anything with. We've expanded the garden, and so we've tilled up just fresh soil, and so it hasn't had anything to do with it. Now you can overdo it in the garden with nitrogen and phosphorus. You don't want to like burn your garden up, but if you do it wisely, it's going to be hard for us to burn it up. One, because we have clay soil, like I said. Two, this garden has only been this size and only had like large crops, a large amount of crops come out of it, and a large amount of work done to it for the last 3 years. When it comes to add manure and turning the soil up and planting this amount, or the last 3 years. And so since we have started planting here instead of at our home, we've also added and expanded this garden to meet the needs of 2 different families. So you can see the garden is very wet. We've got a lot of rain on top of snow, and the ground's very wet. And we have clay soil, so it stays wet for a good while. But I'm gonna go ahead and gather up the horse manure. I ain't got no help today. Maybe Lucky might come help me, but Andy is working on another project, and our 4-wheeler is broke down, and so I'm just going to be able to get as much as I can handle. Usually we have a wagon that we pull behind the 4-wheeler that pulls a heavy load of manure. So we're just going to do our best today and load what we can. We've got to gather up our tools. So I've got a rake because I've got to rake some hay off. Also got a, what do you call it, like a manure scoop. And the wheelbarrow, sorry guys. And the wheelbarrow. To say I'm excited to get in the garden and just do something is an understatement. I'm very excited. Today I'm just going to work on the areas, like I said, that we have expanded because that part of the garden has not been touched. Alright guys, so this big area here and on the other side of this fence that we just recently built was where the horses' hay is where we put their hay for the winter. So there is a lot of poop and a lot of hay breakdown through here, and things grow pretty well here. I see some sprouts of grass coming up right now, and so it's gonna have some grass seed in it and stuff because hay's been broke down on it. As you can see, we've added some more hay here recently, but underneath of it is this black dirt. Let me show you. Look at that. It's a very black and it's wonderful compost. Look, you can see stuff sprouting in it. See? So although it does cause some grass seed to come up, it's totally worth it because it helps the garden by my eyes. This is a stark difference to our old clay soil, and so this makes us happy. I've got a wheelbarrow full here. I don't want to get too overzealous because I've got to push this uphill and a long distance. That's why we did it with the four-wheeler and the wagon before, but it's not going to work out that way today. So let's see if I can even push this. Hopefully I can. Well, we made it up, and I am reminded almost daily when I do stuff like this how out of shape I am in. So we're gonna sit, take a break. In my defense, it's about an acre walk uphill to get to the garden, and when you're carrying a very heavy load, makes it that much more difficult. So my defense is an excuse, really, but we're gonna roll with it, ain't we? So while we're sitting down here, like I said, I want to work on the areas that haven't been touched. So there's an old water line that nobody's pulled up, that we ran over with the tractor. But anyways, from like that spot to about here is what we've added to the garden, and so that's where I'm going to be adding the manure today. I'm just going to work until I get wore out, I guess. We do have church this evening, so I don't want to get all dirty and gross since we get ready for church here at the farm and not at home. So and I am playing with manure, so I don't want to smell like a manure pile when we go to church. If you noticed, I am spreading it. Let me get out of the sun here. I am spreading it kind of heavy. Like I said, this area has not been touched. And so it's probably going to take a few wheelbarrows to spread it this heavy, but it'll definitely be worth it when planting season comes. I might get close to finishing the bed on this side. Maybe not all the way to the end there, but I'm over, would you say I'm about halfway, boo-boo? I'm about halfway. So
About when you get to about this place, you'll be like.
So about one wheelbarrow is like the length of the garden bed, close to it, which I put my rabbit manure here too, so that's going to mix in really well. I got my rabbit manure up to here, so looking good. Well, that's the worm I was going to show you, but there's a little grub. So I got almost to the end. I'm thinking one more wheelbarrow and I'll be able to finish the end and then maybe move on to the edges here. So just dug that good looking feller up. And there's another one that I seen earlier that was huge. I don't know whether to go fishing or what. All right, guys, load two. I knew that was going to happen. Yes, you all just fell in composted horse manure. Now it's all over my phone. Yay. super excited. And I'm hoping that the expansion of the garden will be something that we can build up the soil to do a lot better. Obviously, the horse manure had hay in it. There's seeds in it, and so it's going to grow some grass and some weeds and stuff. We'll probably have to weed quite a bit, just like we did last year when we added horse manure. That's the only thing about adding horse manure that's been sitting in hay is the weeds. But it's definitely something that will be worth it in the long run to build that soil up. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate y'all hanging out. I hope that your 2024 garden season is fantastic. I hope that if you've started seeds, they're doing great. And here soon, very soon, hopefully in the next couple weeks, we'll be having more garden content because that y'all know, if you've watched this for any extended period of time, if you've heard me, garden season is my favorite time of the year. I love it. The garden is my happy place. So, well, besides the rabbitry, the garden is my happy place in the summer. It's my favorite. I wait for it all year long. So, anyways, it's the seasons are coming fast and I'm super excited. But I appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate y'all hanging out, and hopefully we can see you on the next one. We'll see you later. Bye.